Hey, Core 13. I know for a lot of you, your life routine and schedule has changed a lot. But for me, I'm pretty much still doing the same stuff. I'm reading the Bible, preparing Bible studies, sharing those Bible studies into a camera instead of in front of all of you. But it's about the same amount of attention some of you gave me. And I'm even still playing Dodgeball. Check it out. All right. Okay, so fun and games aside a little bit, let's get into our Bible study into James chapter 3 today. James chapter 3. Not many of you should presume to be teachers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. We all stumble in many ways. If anyone is never at fault in what he says, he is a perfect man, able to keep his whole body in check. When we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal. Or take ships as an example. Although they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they are steered by a very small rudder wherever the pilot wants to go. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole person, sets the whole course of his life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and creatures of the sea are being tamed and have been tamed by man. But no one can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. With the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers, this should not be. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? Can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring provide fresh water. Okay, so James chapter 3 starts off coming after the tongue. And we want to be careful here. He's not referring specifically to the physical tongue as being evil in that we should all cut our tongues out and never speak again. I don't think that's his intent here. It seems that what he's talking about with the tongue is the way in which we speak. That with our tongues, with the part of our body that does the speaking for us, that's our mouths, our tongue, our vocal cords and all that stuff, we are able to worship God and praise God and lift God's name high. But we're also able to do things like curse another person, insult others, speak poorly, or even use the Lord's name in vain. In one breath, we might be able to say something uplifting and encouraging, and then the next we can say something destructive and offensive. And it can happen so quickly. My daughters are at an age where they're learning more and more how to communicate how they feel and what they want, and they do that very well. And I laughed the other day a little bit as I was trying to put the kids to bed. Lucy couldn't do two things at once. So she's trying to talk and tell me the stories of her day, which I spent the whole day with her. So I kind of already knew everything, but she just had to keep going. And as she told me the story of her day and everything that was going on, she had one leg in a pajama pants and sort of only halfway heading towards bed. And I'm like, Lucy, I love your stories. You got to head to bed. And then she looks at me and she says, Dad, I just can't stop talking. I can't stop it. Sometimes we feel like we just can't help but say something. Sometimes we might feel like we just can't stop the words that are flowing out of our mouths. Sometimes we say something and we immediately wish we could take it back. James goes into it here and he says, if we presume to be people who would teach, who would speak, who in any way represent God, we must learn to tame the tongue. We must learn to bring control to our speech. And that's hard, really hard. I love that in verse 2, James points out that everybody stumbles in many ways. I mean, that's fantastic that he points that out because it's so true. And every one of us can probably count, or maybe have lost count of the number of times that we've tried to take back our words, that we've caught ourselves saying something we really didn't want to say. We misrepresent ourselves, we misrepresent God, We misrepresent our family or our friendship or what we really feel about someone or something. And so we must learn to control the tongue. How do we come to controlling our tongues? So I think the first step to actually controlling our tongue and controlling the way we speak is found earlier in James. In James chapter 1, verse 19, it says, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For the wrath of man does not bring about the righteousness of God. And when I talked about that section in the youth nights, I focused on the righteousness of God and what actions can bring about the righteousness of God. However, we can also put some focus and emphasis onto those steps he gives, being quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. That's a hard discipline. Sometimes we hear something someone's saying and we immediately want to respond, and so we stop listening, waiting for our chance to respond to the one thing we heard. But we need to be quicker to listen and patient in that listening process. So sometimes we listen and we hear somebody say something, and then we want to respond, so we stop listening to anything else they're going to say, waiting for our turn to throw in our response. But I think we need to practice patience in waiting, hearing the whole message that person might have to say, and taking time to think about it. And then formulating a response carefully, choosing our words with care and wisdom. So that first step to being in control of our tongue and how we speak is to be quick to listen. The second step, I think, is patience. I think patience helps us learn that I don't have to get all my words out right now. It's all right if I allow someone else to speak. It's all right if I wait to say anything. And it's all right if what I have to say takes time to say. There's no need to rush, but slow down. Just be patient. And the third step, I think, is to care more for the person who's hearing your words than for your own pride as you say them. That might be a little complicated, but what I mean by that is sometimes, at least in my case, I certainly get into trouble because I say things because I think it's what I need to say, but I don't always take into consideration what the other person might need to hear. And so there might be a place there for us to go, how can I say this in a way that is effective and will be heard well by the other person? Or maybe this is a moment where I need to hold my tongue, to not speak at all. This might be a moment where me speaking wouldn't help anything, would only make things maybe worse or harder, or it's just unnecessary. And so the word for that is wisdom, knowing when to speak and how to speak effectively. That's called wisdom. So the three things I think we really need are to be quick to listen, patient in the way that we communicate and in waiting for others to be ready to hear us. And we need to be wise in knowing when to speak and how to speak effectively. Conveniently, the next part of James 3 is about wisdom. But we'll talk about that next time a little more in depth, because wisdom's pretty important and it's a big part of James' letter. So for now, what can we do with this? You're in an enclosed environment for the most part. You probably haven't left your house much in the past several days or weeks, and that can be challenging. You're cramped in there, maybe with your siblings, with your parents, with your family. You have very limited contact and interaction with people outside of your home. Videos like this, text messaging and voice chats and all that kind of stuff with your friends. Maybe like me, you're playing a video game on occasion online with some friends. But beyond that, you're still stuck in your home environment. The way we communicate has become more challenging in some ways. And it is of the utmost importance at this time to learn how to speak in such a way that we don't create strife, conflict, anger, that we still represent our faith, our beliefs, that we still represent our God and ourselves well, both in the way we're interacting online and in a faceless communication system with text messages and Facebook posts, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. As we're doing that, it's faceless, it's anonymous, it's safe to try and be offensive, but I'd encourage you to practice good discipline and wisdom with the way you speak in those different avenues, still representing yourself and your God well. Practice speaking in a way with your family that builds them up, that communicates appreciation, that doesn't create more strife within your home at a time when things are already a little bit intense with the closeness. Honestly, I hope I'm wrong about the intensity of your closeness. I hope that when you're home with your family and things are close like this, that it's actually a really good time and that you're enjoying that time together. Maybe pulling out a board game you've been meaning to play or doing a project you've been meaning to do together for a long time. Hopefully that's working out. In our family, it's definitely been a board game almost every day with my kids. I've been reading with them every day. We've been doing math flashcards, and that kind of stuff has been really good. For me to interact with my girls that way and for them to interact with me, and it's been really fun. But there have still been moments in that where there's still some tension, where Lucy just can't put on her pajamas and talk at the same time, and I just want her to put her pajamas on and go to bed, and so that can create tension. So there's always tension in the home to some degree, but how we speak to one another in that context, how we talk to one another, the patience, the wisdom, the quickness to listen, that can change the whole dynamic. Someone who can control their tongue and have that discipline on the way they speak and interact with one another, with the people they care about, that is a person who could be in control of their whole body. That is a person who's in control of themselves. And there's someone who then has the discipline to follow what God calls them to actually live out the Christian life. To be a disciple is to be someone who is disciplined. And that the hardest place to discipline is the way we speak, is the tongue, according to James. But if we work hard on that, we might find that the discipline begins to flow in the rest of us as well. So my encouragement to you is to work hard on the way you speak, to practice wisdom in when you speak. When is it appropriate to say something? When is it not appropriate to take a shot at your sibling and create a big fight? Let's use that wisdom, let's practice that discipline, and let's be people who represent ourselves and God well in the way that we talk and carry ourselves. All right, guys, so if you're connecting with your small group this week, maybe talk about some questions like, what is a common word that I find myself saying, or a common phrase that I find myself saying that does not represent me well? Think about that one, come up with that phrase. Secondly, if you're talking with your small group, talk about what are some tactics or ways in which you can catch yourself when you're saying those common phrases that you just kind of say, and stop yourself to actually ask, is this the right time to say it? The third thing you might discuss with your small group would be, what kind of language or words need to be said to the people around me in this time that aren't being said? Has anyone told your mom that she's valuable and doing a good job? Has anyone told your dad that you really appreciate how hard he works and how much you appreciate the hard work he's been doing around the house these past couple weeks? Has anyone said to your sibling that they're smart and intelligent and doing a good job? Maybe it's your opportunity to speak life into your family and into your situation. Has anyone in your small group offered to pray for one another? Maybe you could be the first. Offer to pray for someone in your small group. Ask them what's really going on. Ask them how they're feeling. Pray for them. Care for them. Let's start to use our words to bring life and not hurt. It's hard because of the same mouth that comes hurt and offense comes life. And so let's try to bring more life than hurt. And I think that's what James is trying to get at. So let's do that. So those are your 3 challenges for your small group discussion if you guys are doing that, which I hope you are. Those 3 things are, what are common phrases or words that I use that I don't necessarily mean to use? How can I catch myself saying those common phrases and changing that? So what is a tactic I can do? And then how can I speak differently? Or how can I recognize the need for a place where I can speak life into my family unit or my friend group or however I'm connecting with people right now. Okay, that's it for us for this week. I'm looking forward to doing another couple videos next week. If you haven't been keeping up on this stuff, keep an eye on brightviewchurch.ca/core13. You can also check out our YouTube channel, which is linkable through the website. It's my old YouTube channel from several years ago. And so the username is Bird the Intern. So it's youtube.com/user/Bird the Intern, all one word. You go there and you'll see a whole bunch of videos and playlists. You can check stuff out. I've been answering Ask Anything questions there, and so you can get on there. If you'd like to be more connected with our youth group, send me a text message and I will add you to our Core 13 WhatsApp group chat. If you don't have WhatsApp, I'd recommend getting it, at least for this next couple of weeks or months. so that we can keep connected that way. I post up on there video links and things we're doing, or things I'm doing, and things you can do from home to be part of our youth group. For example, this morning, I texted out to our youth chat that we were praying at 8:42 a.m., which is the time when we always stand in the parking lot of the Pigeon Lake High School, and we pray together. And we did that every morning for the past 2.5, 3 years. So this morning at 8:42, I was praying, and I sent a message out at 8:40, I think it was 8:40, sent a message out about what I was going to pray for, and that anyone else who wants to pray could join in. And so that was just out on the WhatsApp. If you'd like to be part of that group, if you'd like to get updates and videos, if you'd like to be able to throw in maybe a comment or two of your own, which you're totally welcome to do in that chat setting, because that is a chat. Think of it like the pre-youth hangout time, when we're all hanging out in the foyer, and we're all kind of talking about what happened this week, and people are hitting a volleyball around. This is kind of the same idea. You can come, you can speak, you can throw some words in there if you'd like, being wise about how you do that, being quick to listen and patient with how you do that. But you can definitely throw some words in there and be up to date on what we're doing. And I'd like to do the morning prayer Monday to Friday every week, where I'll text out, hey, here's what I'm going to pray for this morning. Then I'll be praying wherever I'm at, and you can join in from wherever you are, whether that's in your bed or in your kitchen or outside in your front yard, whatever. I know, somewhere in your home because you're not leaving, right? Okay, so if you'd like to be part of that WhatsApp group chat, throw me a text and just say, hey Andrew, I'd like to be part of that WhatsApp group chat, and I will add you on there. All right, great to see you guys this week. Hope to see you again next week with more from James chapter 3.